We begin tonight with yet another Easter tragedy on the roads. We are talking about the accident that killed 6 people, including 3 minors earlier today. Now, the 6 were traveling in a matatu that hit an oncoming lorry at the notorious Kunungi Trading Center along the Nairobi-Nakuru Highway. Najma Ismail reports on the crash that left 8 other people injured.
6 people perished this morning in another grisly road accident at Kunungi Trading Center, a few kilometers from Naivasha town. Barely a day after, 11 people died in Makutano Junction along the Eldoret-Nakuru Highway. The early morning Kunungi accident occurred when a matatu headed to Nairobi hit a lorry head-on as it tried to overtake another car. 6 people died on the spot and several others were injured. The injured were rushed to the nearby Kijabe Hospital in critical condition.
Mtoto mmoja wa mwaka mmoja na kuna mtoto mwingine ambaye ni kama miaka 12. Then kuna mwingine ambaye ni average of 16 to 17 years. Hao watu wengine ni wanaume wawili na mama mmoja ambao wamekufa.
Eyewitnesses say the driver of the matatu, who escaped soon after the accident, was speeding before ramming onto the lorry. Najma Ismail, KTN.
Now, in churches across the country, the problem of insecurity dominated Easter sermons as Christians marked the critical day on their calendar. Church leaders asked faithful to cooperate with security officials in containing terrorism and other crimes. KTN's Bilkis Tinyabwa has more.
On Good Friday, Christian faithful set off bright and early. These Catholic worshippers making their way across the city were taking part in the Way of the Cross. On this Good Friday, they set off to relive the last moments of Jesus Christ before his crucifixion. Christians believe that Jesus suffered and died on the cross for their sins on Good Friday. A volunteer carrying a heavy cross and wearing a crown of thorns led the way, and the procession followed. It was a scene that would be replicated by members of various Catholic congregations around the city and beyond. In Kakamega town, members of St. Joseph's Cathedral stopped to say short prayers as they marched to the church to mark Good Friday. At the church, Father Peter Kinyanjui, who received the worshippers, blessed them with holy water. Bishop Cornelius Korir led a procession in the Way of the Cross in Eldoret town. The procession brought operations in the little town to a standstill. In the Philippines, however, faithful took a different approach. Thousands of people flocked rural fields on Friday to witness men being crucified, while penitents whipped themselves in their annual Easter reenactment of the death of Jesus Christ. The ritual, held every year to mark Good Friday, has been going on for decades and has become a major tourist attraction, despite official disapproval from church leaders. Devout Catholics say it is a means of atoning for their sins. Yet, despite their different approaches to the holiday, each church would send out a message of peace, tolerance, and reconciliation in the face of challenges facing the country.
You see, Kenyans, when people die in a blast, we are very quick to condemn the government for not doing anything. Now, when they do something, again, we are quick to start now condemning them. I urge the government, continue with your work. Security should be given to Kenyans. Continue to do what you're doing, but do it within the law.
Security yetu wamezoea kungoja kama ghasia au bombs imeenda ndio waanze kufanya kazi. Lakini nataka kuambia security personnel wa prevent kuanzia watu naingia katika nchi ni watu wa aina gani. So prevention is better than going to rescue watu ambao wamekufa.
We are coming to this Easter at a time when we've started hearing of deaths in our roads. Please take responsibility. If you are behind the wheels, know that you are carrying the lives of people.
Christians believe that Christ died on Good Friday and resurrected on Easter Sunday, a holiday that is marked with pomp and celebration. Wilkison Abwa, KTN.
Now in Nyeri, families and friends of 5 people who were found murdered in Mount Kenya forest yesterday are now demanding justice for their kin. They are accusing police of having a hand in the killings, a charge the police service has since denied.
The mystery surrounding the brutal murder of 5 people in Nyeri County has taken a new twist today. The mother and relatives of 18-year-old Yusuf Mwangi now allege that police might have been involved in his murder and that of his friends.
Asema vile ni statement ile niliambia ni kushikwa walishikwa. Na polisi wa AP. Kwenda kwa AP nao polisi wasema hakuna watu kama hawa walishika.
According to Mariam Wanjiru, Hassan and his friends had gone to watch a football match in one of the local pubs, only to be arrested by police on patrol soon after the match.
Nikarudi mara pili. Nakwambia nilirudi mara pili kwa huyo mwenye babos. Nikamuuliza sasa mimi niambie. Akanisidikisha na akaniambia madhe shika hii 100 uende naye town. Wakwambia ukweli kule walipeleka watu juu mimi niliona na macho haya yangu. Walipanda walikuwa na taxi baada ya mpira. Na msichana akawa kama anatoka waliposimamishwa kwa gari. Hawa wengine wakishikwa wakiigizwa Land Rover.
It is then that she rushed to Kieni police station to check on her son, but she was informed that he was not one of those arrested that night. The following morning, she went to court, but still her son did not appear. And hours later, she was informed that 5 bodies had been found in Mount Kenya forest. One of those murdered was her son, who had a gunshot wound.
Nilienda Nyeri PGH mochari, nikaenda na nikadhibitisha, nikaona miili yote 5. Mmoja ndiye huyo binamu yangu ambaye ni Yusuf.
Area OCPD Anshan Kaloki has dismissed the allegations that the 5 had been shot and killed by police.
Usalama wa area hii tunatilia mkazo sana, tunatilia maanani. Wakati tutajua sababu ya hizi vifo, ndio tutaweza kusema kama ni part of insecurity ya hii area ama ni nini. Sababu hawa watu ukiangalia ni kusafiri wamesafiri, na hapa si manyumbani. Kama wameuawa hapa ni kumaanisha pengine iko watu wengine wamewaleta hapa.
The families of the other 4 victims also blame police for the death of their children and are demanding for immediate investigations into the murders.
Ile kitu yenye si tunataka kujua ukweli penye ilianzia na penye iliishia na nani waliwaua.
Serikali yenyewe ituambie walishikwa wakapelekwa stesheni gani, manake stesheni ya Nyeri hawakuwa.
Najma Ismail, KTN.
And now to an issue that could soon cost you several millions of shillings. Members of county assemblies have now rejected the 1.2 million shilling car grant from the state. Instead, respective county governments have drafted regulations to grant the county leaders car loans and mortgages at your cost. In fact, in Nairobi, the county assembly has already approved a 5 million shilling loan for each MCA. And as KTN Samogina reports, some of them also want the national government to provide them with bodyguards.
After a meeting with County Speakers Forum at State House last month, the President proposed a 1.2 million shillings car grant for the MCAs, tasking the speakers to lobby their members to accept the deal. It is after the lobbying that the deal was to be formalized in a second meeting at State House. Given the MCA's number over 1,400, the arithmetic caps the grant at over 2 billion shillings from national government to fund the MCAs to acquire automobiles. But the county assembly members have questioned the state's commitment, instead moving to acquire loans for the same. Nairobi County Assembly approved a 5 million shillings loan to be drawn from the county coffers, pouring cold water on President Uhuru Kenyatta's proposal.
3 million shillings for the mortgage and 2 million shillings for car loan. So whatever the president was saying was not in good faith. He only said it at Mombasa, but he has never made any serious follow-up to that effect.
And away from obtaining car loans, the MCAs are now pushing for fresh demands. The county leaders now demanding for bodyguards just as their parliamentary counterparts, an issue that appears to split the MCAs.
We want to take this opportunity to ask the government to expedite the process. We seriously need bodyguards.
Security is a national issue, and if they cannot deal with it, let it be devolved to the counties.
There have inspectorate departments of these various counties. Wale wanaitwa askari wa kanjo. Those are the people probably who should be trained seriously so that now they can move to a standard of a metropolitan police. They have the requisite skill to provide that VIP security.
Despite a stretched police force and a government grappling to rationalize the police ratio per citizen, protagonists in this school of thought argue, given their legislative mandate at the counties, they are prone to make more enemies than friends and thereby require protection.
We make laws to correct situations, then these laws or whatever we say step on others' toes.
With this baggage of bodyguard again, he will be shoving my electorates far away from me, and that one might not be good, both politically and socially.
Pundits quip MCAs have become political kingmakers in the counties, a reflection of their counterparts in parliament, and thereby desire for prestige and power is gradually getting the better of them.
MCA really requires security, and more so, the female ones require double security.
I must admit that power is getting into some MCAs whom I've interacted with. But first of all, let us show Kenyans this power can translate into bread and butter on their table, not chasing somebody. Then again, we shall use of about 20 million to run a by-election of a governor. We shall be getting it wrong.
Samogina, KTN.
Well, that report by Samogina leads us to a big question tonight, and we are asking, should the members of the county assemblies be given bodyguards by government? That's our big question tonight. The number is 22155. Remember, you can also interact with me on Twitter at Betty Callo or with the hashtag Friday Briefing, and I'll be sampling your views as we move along in this bulletin. Now, the Central Organization of Trade Unions has welcomed the verdict by the Ombudsman that the NSSF board and the managing trustee be investigated for any losses in the Tasia Phase 2 housing project. The Office of the Ombudsman yesterday said the tendering process for the multi-billion shilling project was grossly flawed. Patrick Amimo reports.
The construction of the second phase of NSSF's Tasia housing project has been riddled with controversy. The Ombudsman's report says the award of the tender to China Jiangxi International Kenya was rushed and questions why approval of the project was endorsed by electronic mail by 4 out of 6 board members a day after the award of tender. The Ombudsman established that the NSSF management sidelined the employees' representative and the Finance, Social Security and Investment Committee in the approval process.
The tendering process was marred with irregularities.
Investigations conducted by the Ombudsman's office between 15th January and 15th April this year indicate the CEO and Board of Trustees abused power and that NSSF's Evaluation Committee allegedly inflated the amount tendered for the bid contrary to procurement rules and regulations. Reacting to the report, Kotu Secretary General Francis Atwoli commended the Ombudsman's office for what he described as a professional job done towards unearthing the truth behind the scam. In a statement to newsrooms, Atwoli said the report exposed how a few individuals hell-bent on diverting workers' savings were determined to siphon the money out of the NSSF. He called for thorough investigations to be done to separate the truth from falsehoods. The Ombudsman claims that the NSSF managing trustee misled the Commission by submitting a copy of the receipt for 11.2 million shillings as money paid to Nairobi County as fee for inspection and submission of the project's plan. The county government denied receiving the said payment.
Whoever was given that money must return it to NSSF, and the chief executive must take responsibility for that money being returned, for it was in his statement to us that he said that that money was paid and produced a receipt. We have further recommended that whoever had received that money, despite whether it's returned, should be prosecuted for having obtained it by false pretenses in the first place.
The Ombudsman disclosed that approval for consultants' fees amounting to 424 million shillings was made despite the fact that no actual consultancy had been concluded.
The total amount payable to consultants from the contracts that were shown to us the upper limit would be 81 million.
The Office of the Ombudsman has recommended that the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission swiftly and speedily conducts investigations to determine whether the irregularities in the approval and tendering process for the project were occasioned by corrupt intent on the part of NSSF board and management, and if so, take appropriate action.
Two House departmental committees of the National Assembly have been investigating the Tasia housing project and are yet to table their reports in Parliament for debate. KOTU says it was eagerly awaiting reports from the two parliamentary committees that were involved in investigating the matter besides the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. KOTU expressed optimism that other investigative arms of the government will use the Ombudsman's report as a lead to unearth further rot at the NSSF. The Office of the Ombudsman wants Treasury to review procurement laws and see loopholes for corruption to ensure value for money. Patrick Amimo, KTN Friday Briefing.
In Nakuru, a section of workers' unions have dismissed the recently formed Public Service Trade Union, also known as PUSETU, as a scheme to silence KOTU's Francis Atwoli. Well, they claim the government is unhappy with Atwoli's fight against alleged corruption at the National Social Security Fund. The union, comprising the Kenya Plantation and Agricultural Workers Union, textile unions and commercial unions, raised concern over the safety of workers' remittances at the NSSF and the NHIF.
Ili tuchukue hii hatua, tumeona yale mambo ambayo yameweza kutendeka wakati PUSETU ilikuwa inalonjiwa. Na PUSETU kabla ya Tasia corruption, PUSETU haikukua. PUSETU imekuja baada ya Secretary wetu General Francis Atwoli kusema kwamba kuna ufisadi ambao umetendeka na pesa za wafanyikazi zinaenda kupotea.
Tunaunga KOTU mkono iendelee mbele, mambo ingine ya PUSETU ya hapa hiyo hatutaki.
While a section of lawyers are happy about the newly gazetted legal fees guidelines, a section of Kenyans feel more should be done to make legal services more affordable for the ordinary Kenyan. The Chief Justice, Dr. Willy Mutunga, gazetted the guidelines on Wednesday. Winnie Kamau reports.
The new rates for advocates will now put all lawyers on the same pedestal with the minimum and maximum fees set out. The aim of gazetted legal fees is to ensure not only client satisfaction, but also professional standards and quality of services. Some of the new rates charged will include the perusable page at 300 shillings. An election petition will not cost less than 500,000 shillings, the highest rate per day going for 15,000 shillings, while overtime charges of 15 minutes will be billed at 600 shillings. This fee is set to help the lawyers meet the costs that they incur in filing cases in court. The legal fraternity has welcomed the move by CJ on the new rates.
It was long overdue. It should have been enacted quite some time back. But it's good that at last it has been gazetted and the advocates can make use of it.
It will be able to make the legal profession something that can give practitioners an income that can allow them to lead quality lives.
The same should not take very long before it is reviewed, because sometimes when it takes too long, the amount of money that is prescribed therein becomes peanuts.
But the new rates will come with a few cost implications on Wanjiko, since many Kenyans can hardly afford to pay the fees.
Given the present state of the economy, is that it will raise the cost of litigation.
Although some lawyers occasionally offer pro bono or free services to help the disadvantaged, there are still many who can hardly meet the cost of litigation.
It is high time for Kenya to develop a legal aid scheme and even schemes of legal insurance, so that those who cannot afford the cost of the service when they need it can find a measure of social protection.
The Judiciary Committee negotiated for a general increase of 40% from the 100% that had been proposed by the LSK Council. But Kenyans have varied opinions on the rates.
Watu wa chini ambao wajiwezi haitakuwa favor kwao, kwa sababu hawataweza kuwa na ile bargaining power.
Sasa tuseme shamba yangu nimenyang'anywa na mwenye pesa, si ndio?
Nami sina hiyo mapeni. Si unaonekana tayari nitanyang'anywa ile shamba sababu sina uwezo.
Wenda uongee na lawyer wako, uelewane naye, malizane. Akusaidie, ufaidike, na yule mwingine pia alikuwa ataka kunyanyasa asifaidike.
As many lawyers welcome the gazettement of the remuneration order by the Chief Justice, now Kenyans will have to brace themselves for the high cost of litigation. When it come out, KTN at the Milimani Law Courts.
Now, Prophet David Owor's followers today cleaned the streets of Eldoret in preparation for the 3-day crusade this weekend. Thousands of members turned up in large numbers for the cleaning exercise. Back to KTN Friday briefing. We're back on the decks. You're
good, you're good.
We're back on the decks.
Sawa.
So I want DJ Sadiq, who's our guest anchor this evening, to teach me a couple of things so that I see if I can have a career later on in DJing.
Sawa,
what
sawa.
is this you guys always do? Nini mnafanyanga kila saa?
First of all, you cue the song.
You cue, okay.
Yeah, to cue
At
is...
least that one I understand.
Yeah, so when you're ready to drop, unafinya to play.
No. Hapo sijaelewa. So this is here. What is this one for?
This is a crossfader.
Okay.
Yeah, so ikiwa left inacheza song ile iko kwa deck ya left, ikiwa right inacheza song ile iko kwa deck ya right.
Okay.
Yeah, so this song we've already cued it, so it's just pressing play.
So you like that?
No, then press play. Then we'll coordinate it with our scratch sample, which is on this other side.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I take it to the right, naeza kusikia whatever I'm doing on this side.
Okay. Let me try now. Okay.
Okay. Just scratch.
Yangu itokee vizuri kaya yako.
Lakini uko sawa.
Is it because my palms are very sweaty because I'm very nervous?
Uko sawa lakini.
It's a new thing I'm learning.
You're doing good.
Okay, so then you cue me the music from, of course, the laptop and...
Yeah, so there's an interface that connects the mixer to the laptop. So all my music files are here. Yeah, so I just drag from the laptop, it loads on the deck, then I cue.
So let's say I want a song like, which one can I see? Where are the songs?
Any random, just mention a random song.
I like the Pitson one.
Pitson? Yeah. Okay. I just type Lingala. Yeah, Yesu. Then I load it on the deck.
Okay.
Then
you load it.
Then it starts playing.
Okay, so this you add the volume there.
Yeah, that's our monitor.
There. And then now.
Don't get confused.
Oh yeah. Okay. The things you hear, like, ikibamba sana, how is it still here? Or the glass, the glass, like everything falls, everything goes crazy.
Those are DJ samples. So same way we load the music, the DJ samples are loaded on the deck as well.
Oh, so you have the glass siren?
So you just name them according to how you want them. So you can just play. Then for this mixer, I've assigned my drops. They are on this part.
So you just press.
So even when the song is playing, I just play. You can just press the first one. Press the second one. Press this.
Okay, that is cool.
Yeah.
Let me ask, there are many parents at home, when the kids have told them, I want to be a DJ.
Yes.
And maybe they're skeptical. Is this something that you can advise young people to go into?
Yeah. First of all, I like quoting the Bible.
Yeah.
The Bible says your gift will make room for you in front of great men. It didn't say necessarily your education.
Okay.
Yeah, so whatever gift you're talented in, be it music, be it football, be it whatever, it can take you before great men and it can make you go places. So mimi naweza sema education is very important. Ni poa kwenda shule, but pia kama mtoi wako wako gifted, anaweza cheza ball, anaweza draw, whatever anaweza do, let him exploit.
Let him exploit.
Yeah.
That's very important. So when you're behind here, as we just see you, somewhere in a concert, is there anything that can go wrong? Because mimi kama nimekaa pale, when I'm anchoring news, there are a lot of things that can go wrong. Here, what can go wrong, or what has ever happened to you?
Most of the time, maybe mziki kishika sana na maybe mafans wana dance. Most of the time, mtu kanyaga tu wire. There is someone who always steps on the power cable.
There's so many wires down there.
Yeah, so everything goes off. At times, now like for my decks, they're connected to the mixer, the sound guy now.
Yes.
At times, the sound guy can mess me up. He can just do something or put me off.
And then
but my fans wanajuanga ni DJ.
Okay.
Hata kama ni mtu mwingine ame sio na backing wendo kwa noma.
All right, let's just walk back to the seats because of course I've done part of what you've done of your work and I want you to experience. Yeah, kibarua sasa ni yako sasa tuone kama hii kikataa kama unaweza pata another career.
Kama unaweza pata kazi nyingine
huko KTN. So
niko kwa interview.
Uko kwa
na nakaa vizuri.
Kaa vizuri, you feel confident. Everything is fine. Don't sweat it.
All right.
I'll just come to the auto cue needs to go on. So as they work on that, on the auto cue, you get a lot of attention. And one of the questions tumepata from my viewers is how are you able to cope with a lot of attention, especially from ladies who many of whom have tweeted. How do you balance between professionalism and your just being human and
first of all, most of the time when you're out there, when you're either when you're in the entertainment industry, guys tend to think you're an extraordinary person. The only difference between maybe you and some other person is just because wewe uko mbele ya TV ama uko kwa screen kila siku. But at the end of the day, we are just human beings. So when it comes to professionalism, as a professional at times you have to draw a line. Unajua sahi niko job na sahi tunaweza interact. Because unakuta saa zingine on social media watu wanarusha different questions, mtu anakuambia to meet. Saa zingine unajua tu for me to be able to maintain my professionalism, kuna vitu there are extents I can't go to. So it's just drawing the line.
All right. As we wait for Kamtu to come on so that you can be able to enjoy on the auto cue and do exactly what we do.
All right.
Is this a career that can be able to sustain you? You're able to, if you have children, you're able to educate your children. Is this a career that gives you all those things that other careers give you?
First of all, the DJing business or the DJing career is very wide. It's not just on the decks, and that depends also on the person, on your on how wide you can think. Because as a DJ, you can also be a TV host. You can
like what you do,
like what I do. You can also venture into sound. For instance, I do weddings and parties.
So there are a lot of things.
There are a lot of things. Kuna vitu kama weddings, parties, mabash, hazitawaisha. Zitakuwa always.
People will always fall in love and have weddings.
Ni career consistent.
Great. Now we'll continue with the conversation. But sasa hivi, camera 2 sasa iko sawa. Take it away and, enjoy it as much as you enjoy really, DJing. Take it away, DJ.
When we think of music, most of us imagine melodious tunes belted out by talented musicians, accompanied by nice beats, but fewer imagine that there is a group of citizens who can also sing and enjoy music, which to the ordinary person is totally silent. Such was today's talent show, held in Nairobi by the Kenya National Association of the Deaf and the Christian Missionary Aid. Take a look at this.
Look closely. You may notice Michael Ogalo's song Thrill the Crowd. But if you look again, you will realize that he cannot see his crowd. His crowd cannot hear him either. He is visually impaired and they have hearing impairment. David Muturi, a well-known sign language interpreter, stands next to Michael so that the young crowd can get the message. This was the moving opening act at today's Deaf Talent Show. The event, organized by the Kenya National Association of the Deaf, was a unique platform to show Kenya that deaf people have unique gifts, just like anyone else.
Important event here, we are trying to show the talents, the skills which different people have, arts, weaving, drama. We showcase that the deaf people, they can also do any other thing as other hearing people can do.
Even though deaf people cannot hear, they have learned to hone talents and gifts that make up for the loss of hearing. Their highly creative performances speak for themselves. The drama group presented a play about a young man who marries a woman he loves. It left the crowd in stitches. Deaf stitches where the applause is more felt than heard. Meet deaf rapper Douglas Munyendo, 24, aka Lil Daggy. He showed his prowess as he proved to be a little fast for the interpreter, but the crowd got the message. Elvis Othiambo led his crew in a dance. It was so well choreographed, no one could believe that they cannot hear the rhythm they dance to. And Martin Odima's paintings drew a large audience. At 23, Martin is aiming for perfection in art. He showcased his portraits of world icons like Nelson Mandela, Barack Obama, and former Youth Fund boss Gore Semelango. However, communication among the deaf is still a challenge for them and the people around them. Yes. A new and interesting challenge is that of Sheng.
The young people, the hearing people, they have their language, the Sheng.
Nixon Kakiri wants people to understand that sign language is just a language like any other. It also evolves, and deaf young people have their own coded language. Let's call it sign language Sheng.
But now the challenge which has started coming up is the youth, with the youth. They have come up with a coded language. They are like Sheng, the Sheng which the hearing people use, the youth use. And we talk about the lines which are at the back. About instead of saying like cuckoo, we put that sign showing the way they go around in that thing. Eh? Because now all the deaf people these days, they focus on KTN because it is the only station with accessibility and the accessibility of information through sign language.
My name is Jerry.
But there is hope, as many young people and even children develop an interest in sign language. Children like Njeri Masharia, who are learning sign language, offer hope to many deaf people who are only longing to be accepted. For many young people who are deaf, communication remains the biggest challenge. However, today we have seen a different spirit, where these young deaf people have come out to be seen, to be heard, and to be understood in their own special language. So if you know someone who is deaf, take the time to listen to their story. Dorcas Wangira, KTN.
Thank you, Dorcas. So inspiring. Nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible. And they are not disabled. They're just differently abled.
Oh, really? Yeah, I like that. I like
Yes.
that. Okay, now let's talk about the new show you have on KTN that is always trending. Tendereza.
Yes.
The concept behind it and what's the future for that show? Because it's already gaining a lot of momentum and it's pretty young. Yeah.
We thank God for that, first of all. Basically, many guys on Twitter are asking, what does Tendereza mean?
Yes.
Tendereza basically means praise. Yeah, to praise. And right now we are in the second month of the show, but we thank God for the response. It comes every weekdays, Monday to Friday, from 9 to 10 a.m. Then on Saturday for the live show, which happens from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Basically on weekdays it's just African praise.
Okay.
Yeah, then on weekends now we fuse everything with urban songs. Yeah.
Like
so
what you did today morning.
like
The show was really good.
yeah,
for
it was
Easter.
a fusion of old school and new school.
Everything.
So it's just the best in gospel music.
All right.
Yeah.
Time for you to take us for a short commercial break. You know the drill.
You're locked on to Friday Briefing. They call me the Mixed Genius DJ Sadiq, and now I'm in the company of the beautiful Betty Kialo. We are going to take a small breather. We'll be right back.
All right. Now, whenever Mandera County is in the news, it's usually about ethnic clashes, bandit attacks, or even famine. But tonight, KTN's northeastern reporter Habiba Ali brings you the untold story of a rich corner of Mandera County with a river that stretches 160 kilometers and runs for 9 good months.
Away from the insecurity and tales of hunger and malnutrition, another picture of Mandera emerges. The story of Mandera's green gardens. The Gadudia irrigation scheme, set deep in the heart of Mandera County, has transformed both the landscape and the lives of the people here in ways many would find hard to believe. When the West German missionaries in 1975 started this scheme, in conjunction with the Kenyan government and the Food and Agricultural Organization FAO, the aim was to settle the destitute families who had lost their livestock and other valuables in the civil war between 1964 and 1967. It was a healthy scheme when it began, but the performance of the scheme started declining from late 1970s when donors started pulling out. For Farah Gure, a 64-year-old farmer, things were never the same after the fall of the scheme.
Then we could only get enough for our consumption, nothing more.
The decline continued over the years. When Kenya chose to embrace devolution, Mandera County's incoming county government therefore had its work cut out for them. Reviving the Gadudia irrigation scheme and many other schemes was a priority that could not be ignored.
There is no upper limit in terms of the kind of support we are going to give to the farmers.
The impact of the revival has been almost immediate. Over the last 6 months, the locals harvested more than 100 tons of maize. Sweet melons and onions also grow in the farm.
The production is much better now.
And it's not just stopping at this. For Farah Gure, life can only get better with the introduction of these technologically advanced farm implements.
There were no such things as tractors before.
Now the predominantly pastoralist community have something green to add onto their plates.
Not before, but here we are today. Farming has a greater potential.
And the lifeline for the food production is another legend of Mandera County. The River Dawa. It stretches for about 160 kilometers across the county, injecting life into the Gadudia irrigation scheme and other schemes in the county. Even as the other Asal regions continue with their tales of hunger and famine, at least here lies a little oasis of hope. Habiba Ali, KTN.
Thank you very much, Habiba, for that insightful feature. Now let's have a recap of our top story tonight. And we began with yet another Easter tragedy on the roads. Of course, we were talking about the accident that killed 6 people, including 3 minors earlier today. The 6 were traveling in a matatu that hit an oncoming lorry at the notorious Kinungi Trading Center along the Nairobi-Nakuru Highway. The crash left 8 other people injured. Right, it's that time that we cross over live to Kisumu County, where Willis Ocheng, also known as Willis the Wordmaster, is standing by for tonight's lesson. Willis, great to see you again.
Great to see you again, Betty, and how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Willis. Now, I heard that last week Edith was close to replacing me.
Edith Kimani surprised me. She came in as a first-timer in Mind Your Language, and in my take, she is a super sub.
Oh, wow, I agree. All right, let's start with a word that gives very many people problems, especially journalists. Do we say jeopardy or jeopardy?
Betty, we don't have what we call a diphthong in that word. We don't have the vowel glide EO. That O is silent. So we say jeopardy, jeopardy, not jeopardy. Just like we say jeopardize, not jeopardize. And we also have leopard, not leopard. And another name in this world that many people call Leonard is not that way. We pronounce that name as Leonard. O is silent.
Right.
Jeopardy.
Jeopardy it is. Okay, now when someone shows strong or, angry feelings, like, do we say he refused vehemently or vehemently? I've had quite a number of varied pronunciations.
I usually get amused a bit when I hear of that. Vehemently. That is pronouncing a word while following the spelling or the letter sequences. The correct pronunciation for that word, Betty, is vehemently. Vehemently, not vehemently. Just like we say vehicle, not vehicle. We also say annihilate. Annihilate, not annihilate. And we also say rehabilitate. Rehabilitate. In other words, H is not puffed or pronounced in those words.
All right, I bet that one has been mispronounced by so many people so many times. Okay, let's move on to our next word. When it comes to flowers, we have the roses, we have lilies, and then we also have this type of flowers. Is it orchid or orchid?
Well, Betty, that word is not pronounced as orchid. We say orchid for the flower. Of course, we have the word orchard, but we don't say orchid. It's orchid. Just like we say orchestra, orchestrate, but we don't say orchid. It's orchid.
So, Willis, we don't say orchestra?
We say orchestra. Orchestra. That letter E goes through what we call vowel transmutation and takes the short vowel sound E. Orchestra. But saying orchestra in ordinary communication is not a big issue.
All right. So it's orchid, orchestra. Okay, great. Then let's move on to the next one. What is the correct pronunciation of a mosquito-borne disease, especially in the tropics? Is it dengue fever, dengue fever, dengue fever, dengue fever? You hear a lot of this, especially when we are conducting interviews.
It's been confusing many people. When we are talking about the breakbone fever, we say dengue, dengue, not dengue, not dengue, and all that. We say dengue fever. English has certain words which are called look and say words. You just pronounce them without following the spelling very closely. So, dengue fever.
Dengue fever. Noted. Do we say evaluation or evaluation? Evaluate or evaluate?
Evaluate, evaluation, evaluate, not a. We have letter E taking the vowel sound E. Evaluate. We also have evacuate, and we also have evangelist. Evangelist, not evangelist.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Moving on to a certain word. Is it maisonette or maisonette?
Maisonette. Maisonette. We don't say mansonette, mansionette. So many versions locally, but the correct pronunciation for that word, Betty, is maisonette. Just like we say cigarette, cigarette. And
not
we also
cigarette?
have cassette. Not cigarettes, the way we locally say it. It's cigarette, cigarette, maisonette.
Maisonette.
So, very, very tricky.
Wow, maisonette, cigarette. Okay. Do you have a surprise word for us tonight, Willis?
When it comes to surprise word tonight, Betty, I have something which I know many people will be shocked about.
Yeah, give it to us.
When we're talking about diplomats as a group working in a specific country or a specific city, those diplomats are not called the diplomatic corps. When we talk of diplomatic corps, we are talking about diplomatic dead bodies or dead body, corpse. So, I knew it would be funny. We say diplomatic corps, diplomatic corps. So, corpse is C-O-R-P-S-E, but corps is C-O-R-P-S. Diplomatic corps, not corpse.
So the P-S are, those letters are silent?
Yes.
Okay.
You don't pronounce them. It's just corps, not corpse.
Diplomatic corps. That's a surprise. Let's move on to our feedback. Alan Tom from Milimani in Kisii County, I hear he's a big fan of this program, wants to know, do we say architect or architect?
We say architect, architect, not architect.
Okay.
Architecture, archipelago, archive. So we don't say architect, it's architect. But Betty, when we are talking about the combining form arch, we should be aware, as those who use English in serious communication, that we say archbishop, not archbishop. That is when it is used as a combining form. Archbishop, archdiocese, arch-rival, not arch. But the other words, we just say architect, architecture, archipelago, archive.
All right.
There you are.
Finally, Willis, finally. Bishop Kyogora Magambo wants to know, do we say masquerade or masquerade? Where is the stress?
We say masquerade, masquerade. We don't say masquerade the way many people say the word, because letter U is not pronounced in that word. Masquerade, not masquerade. Just like we say mosquito, mosquito, not mosquito. Letter U is not pronounced, Betty, and there it is.
All right, mosquito. Great, Willis. Always a pleasure having you to tell us all these pronunciations. Looking forward to seeing you next Friday, God willing.
I always say after 6 or 7 days, and you are back with a bang.
Back with a bang it is. Willis, the word master, coming to us live from Kisumu County now. He is finally on Twitter, and his Twitter handle is at Willis Ocheng1. At Willis Ocheng1. So if you have any questions, you can direct them to his Twitter page, and I'm sure he's going to be very, very welcoming and interested in, of course, giving you the correct pronunciations. That has been Mind Your Language, only here on Friday Briefing.
Will is right there, always teaching us how to pronounce those ambiguous English words. Mosquito, mosquito. Personally, my Luya accent always interferes with everything. But thanks for that. Looking forward to next week's show as we get to learn the pronunciation of more English words. I'll now hand us over to Lynn Washira in the next studio. Lynn.
Yes, Sadiq.
Can you hear me?
Of course I can hear you, and I must admit that you look totally different in a suit, being the first time I'm seeing you out of a t-shirt.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, of course, having you on Friday Briefing. But first things first, we have to move very fast to the sports news, but that is after a short break. Do stay with us.
All right.
Well, a very good evening and a warm welcome to KTN Sports. Today, I'm Lynn Washira. We kick off the bulletin in Mombasa, where debutants Parklands Area Girls from Nairobi qualified for the basketball finals at the National School Games. Area won in extra time. Elsewhere, hockey defending champions Sinyolo Girls were, however, heartbroken after losing their semi-final match 2-0 to Cap Coley. Ferdinand Omondi has the details from Shimo Latewa.
Debutants Parklands Girls qualified for the girls' basketball finals at the expense of the fancied Tigoi Girls in what was easily the most entertaining match of the tournament. Tigoi started powerfully to snatch the three quarters 10-7, 11-10 and 22-11. Then they lost captain Josephine Anyango, and a resurgent Parklands fought back to win the last quarter 21-14 to tie the game 57-57, forcing it to extra time.
1 minute to play.
Marcio Dima thought she won the game with a free throw, but referees cancelled the score due to a 5-second rule, which was hotly contested. Parklands held their nerve in extra time to win 71-66 with Jacqueline Tinega shining.
With the endurance we had, we were able to wear them down, and it made a lot of difference.
Parklands will play defending champions Shimba Hills, who swept away Loreto 110-21 in the other semi-final.
Our idea of coming here was we wanted to play Shimba Hills, and we have now qualified to play them. We are going to give them a good game.
In the boys' basketball, Mangu High School snatched a 57-50 win over arch-rivals Kamusinga. It was a sweet victory against a team that knocked them out last season. Mangu will play East Africa champions Upper Hill, who sailed to the finals with an 82-46 win over St. George's of Mombasa. In girls hockey, Kapkolei are on the brink of their first national title after a shock 2-0 win over defending champions Sinyolo Girls. Kapkolei will vie for the trophy against St. John's Kaloleni, who dismissed St. Joseph's Kibwezi 2-0. In boys hockey, Friends School Kamusinga will defend their title against Narok, who stunned Maseno 1-0 in the other semi. And in rugby, it is St. Peter's Mumias versus Maseno School in the finals after 17-0 and 15-0 wins over Menengai and Kangaroo, respectively. The finalists are now one step away from being declared national champions, while those vying for third spot will also be contending for the extra slot into the East African Championships. Ferdinand Mundi, KTN, Shimolatewa, Mombasa.
And in Nairobi, the visiting Italy under-18 team finished the Kenyan tour with a clinical 1-3 win over Gor Mahia's junior side at the Kasarani Stadium, as Moses Wahisi reports.
Being held to a 3-all draw by Kenya's junior Harambee Stars on Wednesday, the fancied Italia junior teams were not ready for another draw. And Andrea Del Tevo got the opener for the visitors in the 12th minute. Francisco Zotino doubled the lead from a header. Goro's defensive lapse gifted Francisco with his brace in the 70th minute, getting past custodian Vincent Rothiambo between the Gor Mahia post. The host pulled one back to Keith Nyakewa in the 74th minute. But the lose is not all pain for Gor Mahia. Coach Maurice Onyango chose to take pride in the lesson his boys picked from the Azuris.
I appreciate despite the fact that we assembled team for a short time, lakini wame give their best, and then to go down to a better side.
All team play against your team is not easy, but I think it's the technical, tactical support in the different situation.
Local soccer enthusiasts are waiting for McDonald's Mariga Inter Milan, who are expected in the country from 25th May this year. Moses Wahisi, KTN Sports.
In Nakuru, Kakamega High School retained their Nakuru Great Rift 10-a-side rugby title after edging out New Dawn Academy. Kakamega presented two teams in the tournament as a show of might, with their Team B getting a beating from their senior side in the semi-finals. Nicholas Mudimba is in Nakuru and has filed the following report.
Curtain raised the 25th edition of the annual Great Rift 10-a-side rugby tournament in Nakuru. Over 10 schools took part in the schools category, and they did not disappoint, a clear indication of the talent in this country. Kakamega High School once again announced they tore above everyone else. They won 14-12 against New Dawn Academy. Nakuru Academy was another side that threw their weight by beating neighbors Menengai 38-0 in one of the group matches. Kakamega annihilated Menengai 52-0 in the group stages. New Dawn Academy was one of the underdogs but managed to make it to the finals after edging out Nakuru Academy. The two Kakamega sides met in the semi-final, but the senior side progressed to the finals. The surprise package New Dawn Academy shocked Kakamega with an early try, but experience took a toll on them as they lost 14-12. After today's school action, the action proper begins tomorrow at the big guns in the rugby scene in this country will be scoring it out for one top honor, the Great Rift Tournament title here in Nakuru. Reporting from the Nakuru Athletic Club, I am Nicholas Mudimba.
Thank you for keeping it KTN Friday briefing. They say every good thing has to come to an end, and we've come to the end of Friday briefing. But before we wrap things here, as Lynn Washira has just put it. Let us have a reminder or a review of our big question tonight. And we had asked you, should the county assembly members be accorded a bodyguard by government? Should the county assembly members be given bodyguards by the government? And as you can see, 90% say no. And 10%, probably the MCAs themselves, say yes. Thank you very much for your comments, of course, and of course for watching KTN Friday Briefing. Let me sample just 2 tweets here. At Adura Vansami says, that's a big joke. Why now? And the unemployment issue is the talk of the day. Tinste says, no, they should not be. The level of greed by our leaders is high, yet the common mananchi, unfortunately, is the one who pays the price. Thank you very much for your responses on our big Q. DJ Sadiq.
Yes.
It has been a great show.
It has been an honor.
It has been a great show.
Twitter is going crazy.
Yeah,
it's been an honor to be featured as the first DJ on Friday Briefing.
Exactly.
Nashukuru sana.
We also appreciate you. Thank you so much, kunifundisha the ones and twos something.
Kidogo.
Now I know something. A little bit.
Yes.
I'll need like, I don't know, 3 more lessons,
Karibu sana.
to be able to do something. All right, fine.
Yeah.
So we're just about to wrap things up, but let's finish with the song. It's Easter. Just give us a song that, can just work our moods.